So something that happens to me all the time is I get sent mono backing vocals to mix, and that is so hard to work with. Let me explain what I mean. You've probably heard that having a good balance is the most important part of a mix, and that is true, but what you might not have considered is how hard it is to balance mono elements. My favorite example would be taking a lead vocal and a backing vocal. You're probably going to want to pan the backing vocal to create space, but no matter which way we pan it, the other side is going to feel empty as soon as our backing vocal is panned to the one side. Sometimes that space is exactly what we need, but often we're left wishing it was more symmetrical and thus feels more balanced. Now, one really great solution to this problem is just balancing that other side with another instrument, for example, maybe a tambourine. But adding instrumentation isn't always an option, especially when it reaches the mixing stage with somebody like me. So what I like to sometimes do is create a fake double. You may have seen my other video about why stereo wideners are ruining your mix, and this is going to seem a little contradictory to that. But I want to stress that these hardcore widening effects can be extremely useful in the right situations. They're usually best to be avoided on something like your mix bus, but on a single track, you can really get away with some incredibly powerful stuff. So click subscribe and let's jump into a session and I'll show you a couple techniques we can use to figure out this balancing problem. To start things off, I've got a lead vocal and a backing vocal selected, and let's just have a quick listen to them with them both panned up the middle.
Blinded and so caught up in making it work.
Now I'm going to pan the backing vocal hard left.
Blinded and so caught up in making it work.
So immediately for me, I like things to be symmetrical, and I get annoyed with the absence in my right ear. So this is where I would bring in some kind of doubling. So the first thing we can look at is Waves Doubler. The first thing I do when I open up this plugin is click off the direct box so there's only the hard left and hard right channels playing.
Blinded and so caught up in making it work.
So that is more balanced, and I actually do like that quite a bit more. This Waves Doubler I find leans a little bit to the left as a default. I'm sure we could adjust that, but with how this plugin works, the closer we get those levels, the less stereo it's going to seem. So let's try going down a different rabbit hole and try a different doubler. So up next is a plugin called Nectar 3 by Izotope. They also make Ozone in the RX suite they're very well known for, but this Nectar plugin has actually been a lot of fun for me lately. By default, it's got 2 unison doubles already engaged. I like to just grab them and throw them hard left and hard right and make them as loud as I can, and then I just solo the voices only, and that will eliminate our direct signal again. So let's have a listen to that.
Blinded and so caught up in making it work.
So to me, that actually sounds a little bit better than the wave solution that we had tried earlier. And what I especially like about this Nectar plugin is that it has pitch correction built into it if I need it, and I can mess with the parameters for the timing or pitch variation as needed as well. In addition, I can introduce harmonies or octaves in the same plugin. It's pretty incredible. Now let's have a listen to just the backing vocal so you can hear how weird this sounds on its own. Ooh, that sounds really weird, obviously, but let's hear it in the mix. I think that would totally work. Never underestimate how much you can mangle something that's going to be in the background. It doesn't matter how it sounds in solo, it's all about the context. So in this case, we're taking a perfectly good sounding mono vocal and then destroying it and making it sound terrible. But in the mix, it adds width and pads our lead vocal and makes our lead vocal sound better, which is all that we care about. To quickly mention some other plugins you could try in this situation, Soundtoys Microshift is really cool, and Ozone Imager is also another great plugin for this. In my mind, plugins like Microshift and Ozone Imager are more about creating stereo width and not necessarily trying to make it sound like there are 2 performances, where Waves Doubler and Nectar 3 are more about making 2 different performances and making it sound like it was played twice. So different tools for different jobs, but both can be very effective. To quickly show you one more cool trick with Nectar 3 that I use when I get kind of underproduced vocals where there's just not enough layers. I might just duplicate a lead vocal, throw Nectar 3 on it, and then create a fake octave. I've got my lead vocal and I've just duplicated that track. So this track is exactly the same as our lead vocal, but I've thrown Nectar 3 on it and I've made a -12 semitone harmony on it. And -12 semitones is a low octave, of course. So that will just sound like this. It'll be pretty ugly.
Blinded and so caught up in making it.
And again, on its own, not usable. But in the mix, it's just adding a little bit of thickness and warmth. It's barely really even audible anymore. So it's just another reminder of how far you can mangle things that aren't in the focus. And again, don't worry about what it sounds like in solo if it sounds good as a whole. As always, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give a thumbs up and click subscribe. It helps me grow this channel and I appreciate it a lot. And don't forget to check out the Self-Recording Band podcast. And if you think you would benefit from one-on-one coaching and want to level up your recording skills, check out the link below in my description and you'll get hooked up with a free one-on-one coaching call to find out if it's a good fit for you. I'll see you in the next video, and don't forget, have fun.